Hello crafters, welcome back to my channel Avanti Morocha. Today I'll show you everything you need to know about the new PYD Life 20-liter sublimation oven with vacuum pump system. We will take a closer look at what is included, how it works, and how you can use it in your sublimation projects. Now let's begin. This is what it comes in the box, depending on whether you order only the oven or also the vacuum tray. In my case, the oven arrived first and then the vacuum tray came later. In this box comes the oven, the instructions, and this metal tray. Make sure to remove all packaging material. This is what it comes in the vacuum tray box. The first thing you will see are the sublimation films. These are ideal for curved substrates like cell phone cases, shin guards, and more. Here is the vacuum tray. You will also find a silicone glove, heat-resistant tape, shrink wraps, silicone sheets and gasket, a metal mold for cell phones, plus some cases, and finally the vase. This is everything that came in the vacuum tray box. The brand sent me this product for review purposes, however, they did not influence my feedback. All the opinions expressed in this video are based on my personal experience. First, plug in the oven. I will show you the control panel. This machine comes with 6 configure modes, including the recommended settings for the most common sublimation projects like tumblers, mugs, and more. Here you can see the temperature, which you can easily adjust by pressing the temperature setting button and then the plus and minus buttons. The time is displayed here and you can modify it by pressing the timer setting button and the plus and minus buttons. Here is the vacuum switch and next to the start and stop button. Keep it pressed for 3 seconds to turn off the oven. It is very important to take the time to read the manual before using this machine. Now I'm going to make some projects. I used this PYD Life sublimation paper and printed my designs. If you are using PYD Life blanks, they also include information about which wrap size you need for each type of project. I will also use these shrink wraps that help you to obtain better results. First, I'm going to clean the mug with a little alcohol and a microfiber cloth. Place the design and secure it with plenty heat-resistant tape. Use the shrink wrap and the heat gun. Place the mug inside and use the vinyl clip to hold it and apply heat. Apply heat until the wrap shrinks tightly around the shape of the mug. I'll use mode 6 and press the start button to preheat the oven. You will not see any changes in the panel. Simply when it reaches the temperature, you will hear a beep. Once you hear the beep, place the max inside the oven. For this project, I used the temperature and time settings recommended on the blank instructions, which were equivalent to mode 6. Later, I noticed that the oven manual actually recommended mode 1. However, based on my experience, I knew these settings will work well for me. If your sublimation looks too light, you may need to increase the time to around 15 minutes. When the time is up, carefully remove the mags. Peel the wrap preferably while the mags are still hot. And as you can see, the sublimation results came out really beautiful and vibrant. Now I'm going to sublimate a salad bowl. I printed the design in sections so it could fit on an A4 sheet. I'm going to clean the bowl with alcohol and a microfiber cloth. Place the design on the bowl, and as you can see, I joined the pieces together with tape. Secure it really well with plenty of heat-resistant tape on both the top and bottom. Place it inside the shrink wrap made for bowls. Use the heat gun until the wrap is completely tied around the ball. I already have the oven preheat on mode 3. Place it in the oven for 8 minutes. When the countdown ends, remove the bowl, let it cool for about 30 seconds, and then remove the wrap. As you can see, it came out super cute. I did have an error at the seam, but that was completely my fault. This is the vacuum tray, and depending on the type of project, you'll need to modify it. I'm going to make a cell phone case. For this, I'm leaving the base in place, but I'm removing the top silicone layer and placing this gasket around it. In my case, one gasket wasn't enough to cover the entire area, so I asked PYD Life and they told me I could cut another piece to complete the perimeter. Pay attention to these markers because you will use them as guides when cutting the film. Personally, I found this tray difficult to close. I don't know if it's because I don't have much hand strength, but once it was hot and I have gloves on, it became even harder. I'm going to print the design on the matte side of this film. For your first projects, I recommend avoiding designs that need to be perfectly centered because that takes more practice. Make the holes in the film while it's still cold. Make sure the holes line up correctly before everything gets hot. I'm going to turn on the oven and set it to mode 4. Place the vacuum tray inside the oven. You won't see any changes on the control panel, but you will hear a beep once it reaches the desired temperature. Place the sublimation film on top of the oven to help dry it. I felt like the film was already dry, but I was simply following the instructions. I want you to know it took me quite a few trial error attempts to understand how the vacuum tray worked. While the oven is heating up, I'm going to place the phone case inside the mold. Now that the oven has reached the desired temperature, remove the tray. Place the mold inside, line up the fill with the holes, and close the tray. This can be a little difficult while wearing silicone gloves, but they are absolutely necessary because the tray is very hot. Now place the tray back into the oven. Make sure to push it all the way to the back. Press the vacuum button and then start. You'll see the number 12 begin counting down and you'll hear a pump sound. If you don't hear the sound, it means the vacuum system is not working and you are basically just using the oven normally. I left the oven sound in this section so you know what it should sound like when the vacuum suction is activated. When the countdown reaches 0, remove the tray. You'll hear a suction sound as you pull it out. If the suction works correctly, the film should look completely tight around the case. Remember that everything is extremely hot, so use heat-resistant gloves, preferably ones like mine. The results came out perfect, although I accidentally placed the design backwards. I'm going to show you another example. I already preheat the tray again. Remove it from the oven and remember that everything is very hot. Now I'm going to place the mold with the phone case and the film. Here I make a mistake with my design. It should have had a larger margin to avoid staining the silicone sheet and gasket with ink. Close the tray and place it back into the oven. Push it completely to the back so it makes contact with the nozzle in the rear. Press the vacuum button and then start. You will see the number 12 begin counting down and once it reaches 0, The pump starts. If you don't hear this sound, it means you are simply using the oven without the vacuum suction. And as a result, the film will stay flat without wrapping around the case. I made this mistake about 4 times before finally understanding how the vacuum tray worked. When the time is up, remove the tray. It is normal to hear the suction sound when you remove it. Open the tray and remove the film. As you can see, the phone case came out really cute, although I stained the gasket with ink. I tried making another one immediately afterward, but it didn't work because it became much harder to position the film while everything was hotter, and the film started shrinking too early. It also became more difficult to close the tray. I reprint the design and tried again. I struggled again trying to open and close the tray, but eventually I managed to do it. Be very careful when working with the tray while it's hot. As you can see, the cell phone case's results turned out really well. I also tested making ornaments and coasters. At first they came out terrible, but eventually I adjusted the settings until I got the results I wanted, and now I'm going to share them with you. For this, I'm going to use the vacuum tray and place the silicone sheet that covered the top of the tray. I removed the centerpiece and covered the holes with the small sheet that came in the box. Then I closed the tray. I'm setting the oven to mode 2, which use the settings recommended in the manual for ceramic ornaments. Place the tray inside and press start. When the oven reaches the desired temperature, remove the tray. Open it, place the ornaments and the silicone sheet inside, and then close it again. Place it back into the oven. Make sure to push it all the way to the back. Press the vacuum button and then start. When the time ends, remove the tray. At this point, I noticed the print looked too light, so I decided to place it back into the oven for another 8 minutes using the vacuum tray. Finally, after several attempts, it came out really well and the print is really great in both sides. That's actually one of the things I personally like most about using this vacuum tray. If you notice I stained the silicone sheet, that happened because I used too much time, about 13 minutes total. I think the ideal time is between 8 and 10 minutes. These settings recommended in the manual for this project didn't work for me. At first I thought I was doing something wrong with the vacuum tray, but the real issue was the timing. Here are all the projects I make with this oven and the vacuum tray. The oven is still one of my favorite products. Personally, I didn't find the vacuum tray very easy to use. I have to do a lot of testing and make plenty of mistakes before finally getting the results I wanted. But I hope this video is going to help to make your experience more enjoyable. I hope you like this video and find it informative. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. If you are interested in the sublimation oven, I'll share the links where you can buy it in the info box below the video. And that's it. See you in the following video. Ciao ciao!